Hey guys, it's me Raj Sahu reporting from Goa where I'm taking a bit of having a vacation here, ready to retire, exploring the possibilities of retiring. I'm 60 and this is a nice warm place. You can call it the Indian Hawaii with a lot of beaches and stuff like that. But I'm away from the beaches and I am on a field or a ground just to record this and also get some exercise, walk and talk. Now I'm going to share with you something very amazing, important. Lest something in future happen. Seems I keep getting that bug. So I want this a short, very short video, which highlights a particular passage, rather a passage which highlights the salvation doctrine in completion, very clear, leaving nothing to guesswork or speculation or conjecture. Nothing is needed. Sorry about that. This is India. A lot of things happen all together. So, this passage really, while I kept talking about it, it occurred to me that this is probably the Mount Everest of the passages, not Bible, which tell us very clearly and in unambiguous terms what will be used on the day of judgment to uh, condemn people or save people. And as I have been, in a debate with lot of brothers and sisters who have, some of them have fiercely opposed Jesus' words. Now look at the irony for me. It's Jesus' words, not mine. And it's so simple and straightforward and clear that a fifth grader will understand. But the problem is it directly, blasts and completely crushes or torpedoes Paul's doctrine of saved by grace through faith. Neither grace was used by Christ, neither will be used because it's a vision. It's waiting to happen. And neither did Jesus use grace or he used faith. What he used, I will be short in discussing in a small amount of time so that it doesn't go to 20, 30 or 40 minutes, should be way less than 15 minutes. So it's like a summary, a gist or essence of my previous videos of who are the righteous in Bible, because this is a really wonderful passage because of Jesus Christ himself, shared by Christ, a vision of judgment day where he will tell us what will he use on the day of judgment to condemn, like I said before, or to save people. Now I have seen, before I go into that, I have seen, because it torpedoes Paul's doctrine, and we know, those who are aware of Pauline deception, how much he's loved and hero worshipped in our churches, that I will name that site, christianforums.net. I was so fiercely, brutally attacked because they felt this man is raising this passage to pull down Paul from his high pedestal. It's not the case, guys. It's Jesus speaking. Actually, they got frustrated that why the heck did Jesus say this? It has come down to this, guys, that Jesus is being like questioned or being stared at, glared at. How dare you teach this? Because it's totally against, it totally kind of wipes out Pauline deception. Okay? Saved by grace through faith. And I've mentioned it 1,000 times, I'll mention it 1,001st time. Jesus, according to any of the translations, did not use the word grace. And this is a shocker to the unversed people who are madly in love with Paul because of their churches. A big scandal has happened, guys. A huge deception, king size and beyond that. Humongous, colossus deception has occurred. And right now it is being covered because those guys know in the Protestant churches that they have taught deception, but they do not know how to deal with it. They know there is a rogue, there is a goon, there is a devil in their Bible. His name is Paul. And they are yet stuck with him because they've taught so much. How do they deal with it? The churches will stop functioning. Who will come? So they are trying to cover it up, but they know because of wonderful people like Marty Corzat, Del Tondo, Sister Brenda, Sister Sunshine McElroth, so many people, Hugh Whitmore, 9/11, Jose, or Roberto from Chile, yours truly also. I put 120 videos, including one called The Damning Confessions of Fake Apostle Paul, where he confesses several times he's a deceiver, and that too a crafty deceiver and a liar and a cheater, whatnot, who had come to with an express purpose to deceive the churches. 2 Corinthians 12:16, and that was way after his conversion. Check that out. So these guys are frustrated because this passage, now I'm going to give you the essence of this passage. Whoever is watching my videos, thank you very much first of all. There are kind words also, not just brickbats and attacks and whatnot. I've been brutally attacked and brutalized. But I've grown kind of, come out of it. That it doesn't matter really, long as I share the truth. Now again I'm repeating, I'm going to use Jesus' words. If you are going to attack Jesus, what is left? Think about it, guys. One of the guys at Christian Forum got so frustrated he didn't know what to do with this passage, so he attacked Jesus. That Raj, don't come here citing one passage versus the rest of the Bible. Alright, so what do you do with Christ's words? Then he had no answer. He was just fuming and fretting because Paul, not realizing it was all fake doctrine, which won't stand the test of Judgment Day. Now, what I'm talking about, as you guys must be knowing, is the goats and sheep Judgment Day vision. Matthew 25:31 to 46. Okay. Now, this is a very, very important passage. I've mentioned before and will mention again. Please take it out. It has a lot of crucial information to our salvation. While I was teaching one day, the Lord told me, look son, how I have slipped in this. It looks like or sounds like a parable. It is not. Absolutely not. Churches have crashed and fallen because of this passage. There are 2 churches who have come down, but I will not name them. Here is what happens in Matthew 25:31, 46. I'm not going, neither do I have any other phone to read out, plus it takes more and more time. I want you to read it. What happens is Jesus is saying, on the day of judgment, when I, King of the world will come, he talks about himself to judge the world. Jesus is talking about himself very clearly. There's nothing hidden there. 5th grader will understand. And he says all his angels will be present with him. That's amazing. Oh Lord, I wish to see that side. Though I will be judged and we will all be standing. Everybody, all nations, like all humans, from different castes, creeds, religions, whatnot. And what he will do is make us stand. It's a very individual judgment. And it's not like I said, grace-based, because Jesus never uttered the word grace or faith. It was a works-based judgment. So what he does is, Jesus will divide people into 2 groups, sheep and the goats. You must be aware of that, right? But there's more to it. The sheep are the ones who had practiced a lot of kindness, loving kindness, exactly as the Good Samaritans. That's why he gave that story in Luke 10, all much different from this. Luke 10, 25 to 37. I will recommend, guys, you read that as well. Where Jesus at the end tells us, you be the Good Samaritan. Do likewise, be the Good Samaritan. I want to take you now with this straight to the Judgment Day vision, which cannot be changed. No power, no debating human or anybody else. Nothing can change. This will happen word for word. Remember my words. Jesus says in Matthew 24:35, the whole universe can crash, burn and disappear. Not a single word of mine will not happen. Means everything will come to pass. So keep that in mind when he's talking about the vision of judgment. And then he says the criteria or the metric he used, because I'm talking in past tense, because it will happen. So be very careful, guys. You can attack me, but don't attack Jesus. Just follow it. Accept it and follow it. Obey it. do what he's telling you. He says that. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you? He's saying because he knew this will happen. Won't go into that, it will consume 40-50 minutes. I'm notorious for long videos, but theologically they are essential to point out all the verses. So I'm going to synopsize this. So these guys who are the sheep are the good Samaritans who went out of their way, helped others who were dying, who were sick, who were needy, who were hungry, who were thirsty, who were in jail. These guys went out of their way to unknown people, strangers, help them. And Jesus says, I want you guys. This heaven of mine was always made for the Good Samaritans. So that's a very clear picture we have. Like I said, don't argue with me. Go and catch hold of Jesus and attack him. Why are you saving Good Samaritans? Because the whole Bible was made. The whole story, the whole project Earth, as I call, 6,000 years have almost gone by, was made for this reason, to pluck out the Good Samaritans. Nobody else will be saved. According to this, according to the teachings of Jesus, his top commandments also. It's all adding up, guys. I was shocked and blown when I realized Matthew 22, 37, 40, when Jesus says the top two commandments of Father God are what? Love God, love the fellow human being. Matthew 22, 37, 40, when you do that, fellow human being would, he said, the neighbor, which symbolizes the fellow human being. Love God, love the fellow human being. When you do that, you obey the entire law and the teachings of the prophets. See, it is very important to obey everything which came from the mouth of God. Matthew 4, verse 4. Because we live on every word which proceeds from the mouth of God. And this is how he explained that we can completely obey. That doesn't mean we don't obey anything Father God taught, but for a comprehensive obedience, we have to practice loving kindness. I've made peace with that. I uphold what Sister Brenda, Marty and all debated with me. I was saying only loving compassion. Okay, I concede because I love Father God's law. In my heart, I feel it can be only obeyed through loving kindness, as Jesus says. He repeats that in Matthew 7:12. Do to others as you would want them to do to you, the golden rule. When you do that, this is the law. He says this is as clear. This is the law. What is the law? Do to others. What do you want others to do to you, friends? Love and respect you. That's what he's teaching. Go love and respect others, starting with God. Love God, love others. He's saying exactly as in Matthew 22, 37, 40. Third time, Luke 10, 25 to 28. Again, that's preceding the Good Samaritan story. Same thing, thrice. Fourth time is in Mark 12. Read that, guys. So again and again and again, how many times do you want the Messiah who's telling you it can be obeyed? So these guys had knowingly, unknowingly obeyed the entire law of God. See, friends, unless we obey everything of Father God, we cannot be saved. He's the Supremo, He's the Don Corleone, He's the ultimate boss of the universe, and His power of attorney is being held by His Son. Matthew 28, 18, 20, all authority has been given to me on heaven and earth, Jesus reveals. After He was resurrected, because He laid down His life without even questioning the Father. That's the kind of obedience He's looking at. But He gave us this wonderful route. When we practice loving kindness even to strangers, by becoming good Samaritans, we will be saved. In short, this whole project Earth was made to get good Samaritans home. Now this the Lord gave through Raj Sahu. Why wasn't this discovered for 2,000 years? It beats me, guys. I'm a humble guy, humbled by my consistent failures and suffering over 50 years. So please, if you're thinking I'm puffed up or trying to be arrogant, not at all. I didn't realize He always works as thief, in the night. When you least expect, He will use you. It is, while I was teaching 7-8 times, 9th or 10th time, He told me, look how I slipped in this crucial, vital passage, which shows everything what will happen on the day of judgment. And therefore, it cannot be denied. And nobody in this universe can stop it from happening. Yes, what we can do is deny it. Reject Jesus. What else can I say? Don't attack me. Read that. Also, guys, remember who were the goats? These are the sheep who were taken home, for which the heaven was always made. and they were saved. But what happened to the goats? Why were they condemned? Goats were on to his left, and he furiously said, "Get out of my sight." I'm just paraphrasing, because they had no works of kindness, nothing. They were selfish people, but they recognized Jesus, which tells me they called him Lord. They recognized him. They were likely Christians, Paulians. Paulians are Pauline Christians who follow Paul, that all you do is believe. It was rejected. Again, I'll leave it to you. And he says, out of my sight. He only wants loving, compassionate people / good Samaritans. So the Lord Jesus or Father God gave this through this broken failure. Well, I won't go against myself. He doesn't like that also. Because I respect almost everybody. Then he says, why do you go against yourself? Why do you belittle? He doesn't like it. Okay, I have suffered. That's my problem. But I'm very grateful as I come to the twilight of my life. I'm 60 years old, man. So many bruises, emotional, whatnot, rejections, whatnot. So I'm so grateful that it is coming to a kind of redemption, personal redemption, nothing else, guys, lest you misunderstand. Now, why I was chosen, I do not know. Ask Jesus. But this was slipped in, and these are the words of Jesus. I slipped it in amongst all that. It's like needle in the haystack. And that needle is not that tiny. It's a pretty tall and thick needle. The problem is our churches ignored it. That's the only, and he says that, yes, they did, when it's so clear that only the good Samaritans, he's repeating again and again, will be saved. They did not teach us why. It's now at 2022 almost, 2000 years after Jesus ascended. We are figuring this out by teaching each other like little children, teaching each other, holding our hands. I get emotional because our teachers did not teach us. They did not teach us well, guys. We are teaching each other, edifying each other, because we have lame teachers. We have blind guides, exactly as Jesus predicted. When the blind guides lead blind people, they all fall into a ditch. We all fell. But we are kind of coming out or crawling out of it and teaching each other. Take it in the right spirit, take out a printout and paste it on your fridge or on the wall, whatever, pin it there. But read it repeatedly, because it's, like I said, the Mount Everest of salvation, the revelation of salvation, Judgment Day. There are others we know in Revelation, we know they are there in other places also, but this is very vivid, clear. The other beauty in this is the Lord Jesus very smartly, cleverly reveals who are the righteous. You must have read throughout the Bible, only the righteous will be saved. Only the righteous. Throughout the Bible, from Old Testament to the last page of New Testament, only the righteous will be saved. Which begs the question. Now, in my previous video, the churches, because Paul had twisted it, it's imputed righteousness. Not at all. Jesus named it and nailed Paul yet again. And it's in, write this down. If you read that, you'll discover it anyways. Matthew 25:37. He says the righteous. He calls the good Samaritans who were saved, the sheep. What does he call them? The righteous. The righteous will be taken home. And he called them the righteous. Now, guys, can we reject Jesus again and again? Do we want to accept him or do we want to reject him? I'll leave it to you. Does he say another time? Yes, in this very passage. Look at how filled with it. It's like you found a jar not with 1, 2, but hundreds of expensive diamonds in millions and millions. Just to give an analogy, an allegory, it's just full of diamonds. This chock full of diamonds. Matthew 25:31-46. On Matthew 25:36, Jesus clearly says, these are the righteous. Can this be changed? Because I'm being attacked by some of my friends also now. Why? I do not know. It is Jesus, guys. I'm not saying I discovered. Praise the Lord. I'm not smart by any stretch of imagination. If I were, I wouldn't have failed so consistently and for a protracted number of years, length of time. I wouldn't have, right? That's why he's using, because he wants you to know this idiot Raj cannot teach. He's using mouth of a failure. Sorry, I said that. Sorry, Lord. The second time he says this is Matthew 25, the same goats and sheep account. Matthew 25, verse 46, the last line of this. He calls them again the righteous, the good Samaritans, the sheep. There the cat is out of the bag. The Paulians are badly, bitterly frustrated because of this. Because no matter how much they will argue, this passage will always defeat them, says Jesus Christ. There, the cat is out of the bag. I do not want debates. I'm not interested. Don't even write to me. You talk to Jesus, meditate on the Bible and His Word and ask Him in prayer. Lord, what have you taught? Why are you saying only the Good Samaritans? Because that's His world, His universe. We are just, we don't have any privilege of authority or ownership here. He will decide. That's why there is judgment. We are not children of God. He is, but He also had to suffer. He had to prove that He could obey God at the expense of His life. So everybody here has to go through that terrible walk. We have also gone through, we are going through it, right? But it is when, in spite of everything, when you practice kindness, you get out of your selfishness, self-absorption, help others, you obey the entire law, teachings of the prophets, you become like Jesus and Father God, who is love. That's why, and I'll tell you, John said that, he knew that. That's why he said, whoever does not learn to love does not know God. He's saying, if you can't learn to love like the sheep did, you cannot be saved, because God is love. His premier requirement is you turn away from sin. He's a sin hater. He will destroy everything which is sinful and even remotely sinful. Beware of your sins. While Paul gave a doctrine that's sin to your heart's content indirectly, but you are yet saved because you believe, which was all a lie. Now this has been exposed. So guys, I would like you to again examine and kind of friendly reminder, put it on the fridge, see it few times. This is the Mount Everest of the Judgment Day description. Let's put it this way. Nothing will exceed this, because He's giving you the criteria directly. The Son of God, the Judge of mankind. He will be there in the capacity of King in great fury. Remember that. And I get terrified at the thought, I'm not saved yet till it happens, right? But it inspires me to turn to righteousness, that is, loving God, loving others. And what is righteousness, guys? It's very simple. Doing the right thing right away. How hard is that? Why is it so hard to be righteous? It's so good. It feels so nice. Finally, guys, I'll fold up with this. What happened? Why did Jesus teach so much about love? We just discovered, we shared rather, or discussed that God is love. That's one reason. Secondly, God has established His laws, which of course Paul killed. You can't even touch. Jesus says, not a tittle, not a jot. He wiped it out completely. But I'm not talking about or bashing Paul. The reason I'm talking is that he established the principle of what you sow. You must have read this many times. You shall reap. Next time you go through the Bible, starting from Old Testament all the way till Revelation, you will discover it at least 200-300 times, if not more. People will get what they've done, because God is just and He's impartial. It's a poetic judgment. He doesn't even judge. Do you realize? Our deeds judge it. He says in, I believe, Revelation 21:12, my recompense is in my hand, says Jesus in Revelation. I shall give to each of you according to what you've done. Now you have these goats and sheep. They had works of loving kindness. That's why what happened? They had given grace. Now here, very careful. I'm coming to the end, promise. They had given grace to others. What happened? They got grace back. Why? Because they had given grace to others. They had loved others. They had loved God. They got back. That's why it's very important, pertinent to love God. He will love you on the last day, because you loved Him first. It's all about you, guys. It's not about God. He's the second player. You are the premier player. Remember this. Nobody will teach. Nobody really understood the Bible because of Pauline distraction. Otherwise, it was pretty straightforward. What you sow, you shall reap. If you give grace to others, you shall get grace. I want all of you to be saved. God bless and thank you for listening to my video. Sorry, I'm getting old. I cry a lot nowadays. I think my days are numbered now. Bye for now. That's my Goa. That's the hotel behind me. God bless. Bye for now.